Wait, before you scroll past this, what if I told you that thousands of drivers in Australia just got fined, suspended, or even arrested, and they had absolutely no idea the law had changed? That's not a scare tactic. That's exactly what's happening right now across Australia. And whether you're a new driver, a seasoned one, or someone planning to move to Australia, this video could literally save your license, your money, and in some cases, your freedom. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what these new laws are, why they were introduced, who they're targeting, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to stay protected. Welcome to AU Driving Insider. Let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're driving home after a long shift. You've done this route 100 times. You're not speeding. You're not drunk. You feel completely fine. And then, blue and red lights in your mirror. A police officer walks up to your window and tells you that you've just broken a law that didn't even exist 6 months ago. Your license is suspended on the spot. Your car is impounded. And you're standing on the side of the road, completely blindsided, wondering how this happened. This is not a hypothetical. This is the reality for hundreds of Australian drivers right now. And the scary part? Most people watching this video are probably making at least one of these mistakes without even knowing it. So let's break this down from the very beginning. Because to understand why Australia has introduced these new laws, you first need to understand what was happening on Australian roads that forced the government to act. Australia has always had a complicated relationship with road safety. It's a massive country, the 6th largest in the world, with long open highways, regional roads that stretch for hundreds of kilometers, and cities that are growing faster than their infrastructure can handle. For years, Australia maintained a relatively strong road safety record compared to other developed nations. But something changed. Starting from the early 2020s, road fatalities began creeping back up. Distracted driving exploded, not just because of phones, but because of in-car entertainment systems, GPS devices, and the increasing complexity of modern vehicles. Speeding violations hit record numbers in certain states. And perhaps most alarmingly, drug driving, not alcohol, but drugs, became one of the fastest-growing causes of fatal accidents across the country. The government looked at the data, then they looked at it again, and then they did something that governments rarely do quickly. They acted fast. New legislation was fast-tracked. Enforcement budgets were increased. And in the span of just a few months, the driving landscape in Australia shifted dramatically. Now, here's where it gets really important for you, because these changes didn't just affect one state. They rolled out across New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland, Western Australia, and beyond. Some laws are federal, some are state-specific. But the message from every level of government was the same. The era of leniency on Australian roads is over. Let's talk about the first major change, and honestly, this one surprised even long-term residents of Australia. Mobile phone laws have been completely overhauled. Now, before you think, okay, I already know I shouldn't use my phone while driving. Let me stop you right there, because this goes much further than you think. Under the new legislation, it's not just about holding your phone. It's not even about having it in your hand. In several Australian states, you can now be fined simply for having your phone visible and accessible in a way that could distract you, even if you weren't touching it. Cameras, yes, AI-powered cameras, have been installed on major roads and motorways that can detect phone usage inside vehicles with stunning accuracy. These cameras operate in all weather conditions, day and night. They've already issued tens of thousands of infringement notices. And here's the kicker. You won't even see a police officer. The fine just arrives in the mail. The penalties? In New South Wales, a mobile phone offense can now cost you over $500 and 5 demerit points. For learner and provisional drivers, that's potentially license ending. For repeat offenders, it goes even further: court appearances, license suspensions, and in extreme cases, vehicle impoundment. And that's just the phone loss. We're just getting started. Here's something that most driving channels won't tell you. And this is exactly why AU Driving Insider exists. The new drug driving enforcement in Australia is unlike anything we've seen before. Roadside drug testing is not new. But what is new is the scale, the technology, and the zero-tolerance approach that's been adopted. Mobile drug testing units have been deployed across highways, suburban streets, and even outside entertainment venues. The saliva test used can now detect traces of methamphetamine, MDMA, cannabis, and cocaine within seconds. And here's where it gets complicated. Unlike alcohol, where there's a legal limit, 0.05 blood alcohol content, there is no safe limit for drugs in Australia. None. Any detectable presence of a prohibited substance, no matter how small, no matter how long ago you took it, is an automatic offense. That means someone who smoked cannabis 3 days ago and genuinely feels completely sober can still return a positive roadside test. And they will face the same consequences as someone who is visibly impaired. The consequences are severe. First offense, immediate license suspension, heavy fine, and potential criminal record. Second offense, you're looking at a lengthy suspension, possible imprisonment, and a fine that could reach thousands of dollars. And the courts are no longer lenient. Magistrates have been briefed on the government's new zero-tolerance policy. Expecting sympathy in a courtroom for a drug driving charge in 2024 Australia is like expecting it to snow in the middle of a Sydney summer. It's just not happening. Now let's pause for just a second, because I want to ask you something directly. Are you subscribed to AU Driving Insider yet? Because if this information is already surprising you, wait until you hear what comes next. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss updates like these. Because in the world of Australian driving laws, things are changing faster than ever, and staying informed is genuinely your best protection. All right, back to it. Speed cameras. Let's talk about speed cameras, because the upgrade that's happened here is nothing short of extraordinary. Point-to-point speed cameras, also known as average speed cameras, have been rolled out across hundreds of kilometers of Australian roads. These are not your traditional fixed cameras that you can slow down for and then accelerate past. Point-to-point cameras measure your average speed across an entire stretch of road, sometimes spanning 10, 20, or even 30 kilometers. You cannot game this system. There's no warning sign you can react to. If your average speed over that distance exceeds the limit, the fine is automatic, and the coverage has expanded dramatically. Previously, these cameras were mostly used in tunnels and known accident hotspots. Now they're appearing on regional highways, suburban arterials, and school zones. Australia has also introduced unmarked camera vehicles, ordinary-looking cars fitted with hidden speed detection equipment that patrol roads without any visible indication. You'd never know one was behind you. The fines have also increased. Depending on the state and the severity of the offense, speeding fines now range from a few $100s for minor violations all the way to license cancellation and vehicle seizure for excessive speeding. In Victoria, driving more than 25 kilometers per hour over the speed limit can result in an on-the-spot license suspension. You finish your drive home on foot. Full stop. Here's something that's genuinely new, and this one sparked real debate across Australia when it was announced. Fatigue laws have been formalized and strengthened in a way that now places legal responsibility on drivers to manage their own rest. This sounds obvious. Of course, you should be rested when driving. But what's changed is the enforcement mechanism and the definition of fatigue itself. Under the updated regulations, commercial drivers and heavy vehicle operators now face strict logbook requirements with electronic verification. No more paper logs that can be fudged. GPS data, engine hours, and rest stop records are all monitored in real time. Violations are flagged automatically and enforcement agencies are notified. But here's what's really interesting for everyday drivers. Fatigue is now being considered in accident liability assessments. If you're involved in a collision and investigators can show that you had been awake for an extended period or that you had driven for hours without a break, that can be used as evidence of negligence. Your insurance claim could be denied. You could face civil liability. It fundamentally changes how we think about the responsibility of getting behind the wheel tired. Let's talk about something that affects every single driver watching this, and that's the demerit point system and how it's been updated. Australia's demerit point system varies slightly between states, but the core principle is the same. Accumulate too many points and you lose your license. What's changed is the threshold for certain offenses and the introduction of double demerit periods that now run more frequently throughout the year. Double demerit periods, which used to be reserved for long weekends and public holidays, have been expanded in several states to cover school holiday periods, major events, and even certain high-risk weather windows. This means that during these periods, a single speeding offense could cost you double the points, wiping out a significant chunk of your license in one moment of inattention. For international license holders and migrants who've recently moved to Australia, listen very carefully to this part. Your overseas driving history does not protect you here. When you transition to an Australian license, you start with a clean slate. And in most states, you begin on a provisional license regardless of how many years of driving experience you have overseas. The rules that apply to P-platers apply to you. Lower speed limits, zero alcohol tolerance, restricted vehicles, and a very thin demerit point buffer that can disappear with one or two mistakes. This is something that catches so many people off guard, and it's exactly the kind of thing that AU Driving Insider exists to explain before it becomes a painful and expensive lesson. Now, here's what I really want you to take away from all of this, because it would be easy to watch a video like this and feel overwhelmed or frustrated or even angry at the government for making things harder. But here's the truth. Australia's road toll, the number of people dying on roads every year, is not a statistic. It's fathers, mothers, children, friends. Every single number represents a family that was shattered. And while no law is perfect and enforcement isn't always fair, the intention behind these changes is not to punish people for the sake of it. It's to change behavior on a national scale. It's to make driving in Australia safer for everyone, including you, including your family, including the people sharing the road with you right now. The drivers who are shocked by these laws are shocked because they weren't paying attention. And that, honestly, is part of the problem these laws are designed to solve. The roads demand attention. They always have. These new laws are just making the consequences of inattention much harder to ignore. So what do you do with all of this? Here's your action plan. Simple, practical, and effective. First, check your state's current demerit point balance. You can do this online through your state's Transport Authority website. Know where you stand before you get a surprise suspension notice. Second, review your phone habits in the car. Not just holding it, but where it sits, whether it's visible, and whether your Bluetooth and hands-free setup is fully compliant. When in doubt, put it in the glove box and use Do Not Disturb mode. Third, if you're a new arrival to Australia or recently converted your license, sit down and actually read your state's road rules handbook. It is not the same as where you came from. Assume nothing. Fourth, plan your long drives with rest stops built in, not as an afterthought, but as part of the journey. Apps like Wikicamps and even Google Maps now offer rest stop suggestions. Use them. And fifth, stay connected to channels like AU Driving Insider, because these laws will keep evolving. New cameras will be installed. New offenses will be added. And the drivers who stay informed are the ones who stay on the road. If you made it this far, genuinely, thank you. This is the kind of content that takes real research and real care to put together, and your time watching it means everything to this channel. If this video helped you, do me a favor, hit the like button. It helps more Australian drivers find this information when they need it most. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these new laws surprised you the most? I read every single comment, and I'd love to know what you're thinking. And if you're not subscribed to AU Driving Insider yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're always the first to know when Australian driving laws change. Because they will change again, and when they do, we'll be right here to break it down for you. Until next time, drive smart, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.